Hey guys, welcome back to another video of What If Shane Killed Rick in The Walking Dead. So let's get into it. We'd start off by seeing an all-out war going on in Alexandria after many Alexandrians, Hilltop residents, and Kingdom residents are killed while fighting the Saviors. And the group are doing their best to hold off the Saviors, but they're just stronger than them. But then we see Shane, and he'd beat the living crap out of one of Negan's best saviors, and that being Dwight. And he says, "You want to live? Well, you better fight with us then. Off your side and on our side. You get it?" And then Dwight says, Yeah. And because of all the chaos going on, even walkers are able to get in Alexandria. And then another one of the saviors would stop fighting as he doesn't want chaos, and that savior being Alden. And when Arad sees that Alden betrayed her and the other saviors, she'd aim her gun at him. Maggie shoots Arad, killing her, and the bullet would go straight through Arad's head, and that's it for Arad. And now, Alexandria and their allies are actually starting to get the upper hand in this fight, with Jesus taking down savior after savior, and the group just gunning every savior they see in sight. And then we'd see Ethan, who wants to kill Negan, but he's quickly shot in the neck by Simon before he can even get close to Negan. And then, before dying, Ethan just looks at Simon, and he says, "You call yourself a savior? Saviors save people, not murder them in cold blood." But then Negan just walks up to Ethan and he shoots him in the head, killing him. And then one of the watchtowers of Alexandria gets blown. And we'd see Richard, who's near this, and he's in shock that they're losing the war. And a few minutes ago, they were just winning. But then Gavin looks at him and he tells him to put his gun down and surrender to the saviors, as he doesn't want to kill anybody. As we know that Gavin was one of the more nicer saviors, I guess you could say. But then Gavin is in fear of something in front of him. And it's Maggie. And she tells Gavin she isn't gonna kill Negan. She's killing everybody close to Negan. Then she's gonna make him suffer in a cell, locked in like a lost puppy dog. And then Gavin begs Maggie not to kill him, and he says he'll fight with you guys to take down Negan. He says, "Just please spare me." And he says, "I'm too scared to die. I don't want to die. Please." And then Maggie has some sympathy for Gavin, so she ends up letting him live. But then a few minutes later, Richard is choked to death by a savior. And Richard gets killed by that savior. And then Richard and his body blow up in a huge blast that happens in the middle of the road in Alexandria. And then near that is Merle, who gets up after being blasted away a little from the blast. And after the blast, we'd see the governor on the ground, near death, and then Shane helps him up, saying, "We may not get along well, but we're together in this, brother." Gabriel tells Shane to go take the governor, and he says he'll cover them. Shane replies with, "You go. Your safety matters more than mine. Now get on out of here." And in this war, Alexandria is picking up the lead again, slowly. And during this madness, the kingdom residents some of them would start actually running back to get more troops from the kingdom. And then the groups are pushing up on the saviors to get near them. And the saviors lose more and more people, but then they eventually hit them hard with their weapons. But the group fire back, and while they push up on them, The king and Jerry lead the group up, and then it's bloody madness. Negan is smashing people's heads with his baseball bat. People of the Saviors are getting shot like crazy, and the group are finally winning the fight. But then during this, Jared pulls out his gun and he shoots Benjamin in the leg, hurting him. And Ezekiel's unshot while a horde of walkers would approach the gates of Alexandria, and Jared is outside. And then someone shuts the gate on Jared when he tries to get back in, and that someone is Morgan. And Morgan looks at Jared and he tells him, "That's what you get for all the things you've done." And Jared just looks at Morgan's face and he begs for him to open the gate. And then Jared is ripped apart and eaten by the walkers. And then Jared is gone. Merle would shoot all the walkers that just ate Jared after he dies, as he doesn't want the horde breaking in. And then he yells at Ezekiel and Morgan and he says, "Go take the kid, I'll cover you guys." And Morgan picks up Benjamin and they take him into a room at Alexandria. And then Benjamin barely survives this, as he's still a young teenager. And then after all this fighting, the group and Negan's men, aka the Saviors, all aim their guns at each other. And Negan tells them to stand down and they won't be killed. The group would respond with, "No, we're not losing any more friends to you." After all this fighting, Negan's Saviors, one of them, DJ, backs up from the fight and he kneels to the group. And Laura also kneels to the group. And then Gavin would also kneel. And then Negan's most trusted man, his right-hand man, the best man in his whole entire army, Simon, also kneels. With that being, all the Saviors would kneel to the group. Well, the remaining Saviors, as they don't want to die. But then Negan still has his gun up. Negan tells Negan, "Just give up. There's no need for this. You've already lost." And he says, "There's no more need of death. We're not going to kill you. Just relax." And he says, "You're not going to be killed. Just relax, man." And Negan puts down his gun and he surrenders to the group. And that's how the war ends. But anyways, guys, that'll be it for today, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed. And bye-bye.